And some Bitcoins. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. First and foremost, I love and admire what you guys are all doing. I think I've heard just about everybody's story. I'm a customer for about 3/4 of the businesses in here. I haven't heard your story yet, but just real brief bio so you know where I'm coming from. But I don't want this to be about me. I want this to be about you and helping you guys grow your business, helping you think a little bit different about customers and their mindset. So I've always lived within 60 miles of Kansas City. So this is home for me. My wife and I always say that we're going to stay here forever. You know, we might retire and have a place somewhere else, but this will always be home. I really like our community. I think that it's a really exciting time for Kansas City and all of the activity and all the businesses that are being built here. So when I met with Wes, you know, part of my objective was to get closer tied back into the community and get back to the one that's been so, you know, gracious to me. I've worked at AMC Entertainment. So AMC's headquarters is here, helped launch Virgin Mobile in the United States. Actually got an award from my client, Best Buy Advertising, for kicking ass. It was really weird, but first, the only time in my life a client gave me an award. So that was one of the high points of my career. The past 8 years, I've been in the real estate and marketing services business. So there's a sleepy little company up on North Berry Road that probably none of you have heard of that's been in business and been in Kansas City for 90 years. And it's called United Country Real Estate. It's a national franchise organization. We're like the RE/MAX of rural America. And then we have a highly disruptive model that we've launched into major metropolitan areas called United Real Estate. We started franchising that business a year ago and have since sold 15 franchise territories in places like Beverly Hills, New Jersey, all sorts of wonderful places, Scottsdale. So I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of United Real Estate. I've been through the pains of us as a company bootstrapping that business, not raising hardly any money. We had some joint venture partners. Going from startup to now growth phase. And then there's another company that I've launched within the family, which is called Enhanced Marketing Solutions. And that's really what I'm going to draw the parallels through the pains that I felt being in your guys' shoes, trying to solve a problem for a customer and trying to get inside their head and figure out what their mindset was. And Enhanced Marketing Solutions, you know, we're a marketing services company that serves the real estate industry, that serves our franchisees. We started from a blank piece of paper back in October of 2007, CEO of the company and myself, and he said, hey, here's the problem that we have. We think you're in a unique position to solve it. Are you in? And I said, heck yeah, man. And so it's kind of weird. I don't know if any of your other presenters bring a videographer, but my friend Cecil in the back, his wife is actually my creative director. So he's used to filming me quite a bit, and so I asked him to come along and capture a little bit of the Kansas City startup community. So I want to leave you with, you know, if there's one thing that's, looks like we don't have a Sharpie or a dry erase. Got one? That's all right. So there's a phrase that I have on the whiteboard in my office that I've had up there for a very, very long time. You're going to hear me refer to Seth Godin quite a bit. Who here knows who Seth Godin is? Only one person. Good. A lot of this content's his, but I'm going to tie it back to my business, and hopefully you'll see through the struggles that we went through and some of the challenges we tried to overcome, some of the things that might apply to your business. But the phrase that I have on my whiteboard that never gets erased is, a product is what a customer thinks it is. Product is what a customer thinks it is. So we can get very close to our projects in building it, and thanks, man. So a product is what a customer thinks it is. And I intentionally keep this up in my office because, you know, as we're, you know, pushing out new features on a website, we're actually revamping our digital strategy right now. It can be easy for us to make assumptions about what we think the customer wants, but until we actually present it to a customer, you know, we don't really know what they think it is until we hear their feedback, right? So our perception, because we're the builders, we're the makers of it, can be completely different than the consumers. I'm actually quivering a little bit around the date of the 15th of next month because we're launching our new website, and it's totally different than everything else in the real estate space. I went out on a limb. The project's proceeding very, very nicely, but I don't know how the market's going to receive it. It may flop. And if it does, that will be a mark against my career. I don't really take failure very well, so we'll see what happens. But you learn from failing. You can always tweak things. So A product is what a customer thinks it is. So we're going to talk about customers a lot today. Understanding your customer. Who's heard about and I've got the milkshake up here. Who's heard about the case study from Clayton Christensen? He's the Harvard guy who, the case study I think is called, what did you hire that milkshake to do? Anybody heard of it? It's pretty cool. It's a really, really long one, but it's actually called Hiring a Milkshake. So Clayton Christensen, I don't think he's alive anymore. He may have passed recently. But he's just a brilliant marketer. I mean, if he's teaching marketing at Harvard, he knows his stuff, right? And he was engaged by a fast food chain. Actually, a buddy of his was engaged by a fast food chain to figure out why a certain fast food chain was not selling enough milkshakes. And they went into the test kitchen and they tried tweaking the formula. They surveyed customers. They said, hey, how can we improve our product? How can we improve this milkshake so that you would buy it more often? And they got all sorts of feedback, hey, add more sugar, make it more thick, do whatever. And they created that product for the customers, and sales were just flat. And so they looked at it from, okay, maybe people actually don't want a milkshake. Maybe they're hiring the milkshake to do a job for them. And what they found out after watching traffic going into the restaurants and seeing what was happening with those people, they figured out why people were buying milkshakes in the morning. Can anybody guess why? So they found out that most people were buying milkshakes because they had a commute ahead of them. And they wanted something to do on their commute. They wanted something that took the place of breakfast that wasn't messy. So like bagels or donuts or something like that. It's very arduous to mess with when you're trying to drive, right? So they hired the milkshake to pass the time. They liked it really, really thick. And to also fulfill their nourishment so that, when 10 o'clock came across in the morning, they weren't hungry. They could make it to noon. So people weren't actually buying a milkshake. They were hiring the milkshake to accomplish a specific job for them. And that job was to not only provide a little bit of nourishment, but also to satisfy their need to do something during their long and boring commute. And then they took it a step further, which was they realized that parents did not want to have a thick milkshake for their kids. You don't want a kid to sit around and suck down a milkshake and have it take an hour. So they tweaked it a little bit more for the children and made it actually thinner. So this is some insight into not necessarily, when a product is what a customer thinks it is, they probably didn't know that they were hiring a milkshake to do a certain job. So there can be a little bit of a false positive here, because you might get feedback from a customer and tweak it and do exactly what you want, what they think they want, but they may not actually know what they want. Kind of like what Apple has done. Apple invents products that we never knew that we wanted, and who here has an Apple product of some sort? I mean, it's amazing, right? So always be thinking about that. Think about, marketing is it's kind of where all of us go who are not coders or financial people or something like that, right? But it's also very, very challenging. So I'm going to pose a series of questions. I can send you guys a one-page document that has these as well if you don't want to take notes. But when you're thinking about your customer, who is it for? And a lot of you, as I was hearing about your businesses, you have very, very finely defined customers. You have runners. I'm a customer. You have every homeowner in the United States, which is awesome. I'm a customer for you when I'm in trouble, like Wes is. So who is your customer? But then also, what is their worldview? What do they believe? What do I, as a runner, actually believe that it is cumbersome to go out and register for probably 4 or 5 different sites to sign up for all of my runs every year? Absolutely. My wife and I sign up for them at the beginning of every year. We sign up for all of our races or commit to them. And then I sat down for like an hour and registered us on all these different interfaces. So I actually believe that that problem is very, very arduous, and that it could do a large segment of the population a service by making it very, very easy, and also make it easy for the event producers. I mean, if they could get rid of running their own software, that would be wonderful. So what do they believe? Who are they? That's key to launching any business. And I think that for all of you, you've figured out exactly who your customer is. So really, what are their belief systems? By the way, this presentation is brought to you courtesy of Haiku Deck. Haiku Deck's a really cool app. You can just build presentations very, very quickly. All right, so think about if they've bought a solution like this before. In my business, Enhanced Marketing Solutions, the problem that we were solving was we had a bunch of auctioneers in our franchise network who had money coming into their offices that their sellers were actually giving them to go out and conduct an auction around a seller's piece of property. So if you've never been to an auction before, it's just event marketing. That's really all it is. You're getting people to a certain place, certain time, getting them in a competitive mindset, and you want them to have their pocketbook and be the last person with their hand in the air. Well, to get people to that event, you have to tell people about the event. And in the auction business, the auctioneers actually say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you want to hold an auction on your property? That's awesome. We want some skin in the game. You're going to fund this marketing campaign for us so that you don't cancel the auction the day before, you don't get cold feet. So the problem that my company had was that we had all these auctioneers who joined our company. The auction offering was relatively new, about 7 years ago. They joined our company because we told them we had awesome marketing, we had awesome technology. They got on the bus, and the first adopter said, yeah, you've got great technology, but you don't have marketing figured out. You don't know how to do event marketing. You don't know what to do with the seller money that's coming in to our office. We're still doing a lot of that ourselves, and there's a substantial opportunity costs associated with us building ads, placing our auction online on a variety of websites, writing copy, doing all of those things. So what I was brought in to do was figure out how to create a streamlined system that took potentially 5,000 clients who had the same pain point. Hey, we need somebody to do event marketing for us. And we want it to be low touch, highly, highly professional. And I was brought into the industry without having any background on auctions. So I had to learn about the auctioneer and learn about their mindset. I knew about eBay and my feedback score of 89, but that was about it. So I knew that they had bought a solution like this before, but they had bought it with their own time, which was extremely, extremely expensive. Auctioneers make a really good living if you're good. If they find themselves sitting in front of a computer, plugging in auctions into websites and things like that, they are losing a lot of money. So they had bought a solution like this before from themselves, or maybe they had hired somebody to do this function, which is also very, very costly. So I knew that we had a problem that we could solve for them, and the question was, could we get them to trust us? Could we get them to understand that we were going to do the right thing for them? So how do they know about you? From my perspective, when we were launching Enhanced Marketing Solutions, I had a captive audience. I mean, I was like a kid in a candy store. A lot of you don't have that luxury. So you're going out and you're finding your audience, kind of that first step in the process. But once they know about you, there's various levels of trust that you can establish with a customer. And I would argue that trust with a customer is more valuable than currency. That'll probably get me shot for saying that in an incubator, but it's true. If you think about, what's the most valuable thing, and you think about like the lifetime value of a customer, it's a heck of a lot easier for us to retain a customer and upsell them or continue to sell them on a recurring revenue plan versus going out and acquiring new ones and investing money in infomercials. The ones who are already our customers, we want to make sure that they trust us. And if they're not our customers, how do we establish that trust? There's a lot of ways that you can establish trust with a customer, specifically when you're a startup. You can build authority, for example, online. There's amazing, zero barrier to entry to going out and creating a voice for yourself, whether you do that through blogs or social media. Going in and just asking for a sale, I get hit up a lot just being in a marketing position by people trying to sell me services and goods. I typically don't respond to that really, really well. I like to understand their business and understand what problem they're going to solve for me, and then I also like to do business with people who are really, really cool, because there's so many people who provide services in the world. I like to work with people and vendors and partners who are really, really cool. And we establish a level of trust between each other. One of the guys who's done this really, really well, he was one of my SEO companies, no longer an SEO company anymore. He ended up becoming one of my really good friends. and actually a mentor of mine because I trusted him. He called me out of the blue. He's like the one cold call that I take a year when I pick up my phone and listen to a salesperson. And he ended up being a really cool guy, and he didn't just go for the jugular right away and shoot me a proposal for $50,000 and tell me he was going to do all these things. He flew up to Kansas City and wanted to understand our business. And he invested in our relationship. And then, he went for the kill. And we took the bait. And he had a very, very successful relationship with our company. So you know what you are, but your customers and getting them to know what it is that you're offering is really, really core, and then retaining that trust. So how are they paying? Cash. Is it their cash, or is it their company's cash? Because that's two totally different pools of money, right? It's a lot easier to spend your company's money versus if you were asking somebody to spend their own money. So we don't actually have a lot of B2B businesses in here. We have a lot of B2C. Any B2Bs? Yeah. So you guys are the ones who are going to be talking to folks who, they're going to have somebody that they answer to maybe. Maybe you're not working directly with the stakeholder or the decision maker, the person who actually says, yes, we're going to make this investment, or no, we're not. So those are the most likely scenarios where when we're talking about cash, we're talking about maybe somebody else's money, even though the person that you're working with directly is your customer. They may not actually be the person writing the check. It may be their boss or whatever. So think about that. Attention is huge. So attention is kind of getting back to that trust thing. They're saying, hey, I'm going to hear what it is that you have to offer. I'm going to take time. The one resource that none of us can renew, I'm going to take time. I'm going to hear about what it is that you're offering, and then I'm going to make a decision as to whether or not that's something that I'm going to further invest in. And then connection or referral. When somebody, you see business cards, and people always have, specifically like service providers, you guys probably have it, the ultimate compliment would be a referral, to another customer or something like that. That's huge. When you go out on a limb and you say, hey, from a friend to a friend, when somebody asks for somebody who remodel a home or something like that, and I say, hey, yeah, this guy just did my basement, I'd refer him to my neighbor who's then going to make a $25,000 investment in having his basement finished. That basement better come out really, really good, because the power of connection. My contractor knows he's going to perform really, really well because it came from a personal referral, and then ultimately I'm party to the transaction just because I referred the deal on. So there's a lot of psychology that takes place that a lot of times we take for granted. We see the cash thing. We're trying to get customers who are going to pay us very, very quickly so that we can have momentum. But think about the other people who might help you get there that might not actually be writing a check. Think about mavens, sneezers, people who are going to be your advocates. Bloggers are some of the best people, so they're going to be paying with attention. And bloggers are right in the strike zone for you, your product, your service, because you get that product into their hands, and if they love it, they're going to tell their audience. And it doesn't matter if their audience is 500 people or it's 500,000 people. It's a targeted audience of folks who could potentially be your customers. I'm really excited about your business because you have some really, really cool marketing channels. Pinterest, I think, is great. And then also influential bloggers. So, if it works, do you have a moat built? Do you have a defensible market position? Because when you build something that's attractive, you're going to have fast followers. You're going to have copycats. So the strategy that we've used at our company is we keep building a deeper and deeper and wider moat. To the point where, from a marketing services perspective, there's not another national real estate franchise who's still built an internal marketing services company like we have. We're very public about it, enhancedmarketing.net. You can go to the URL. You can see what it is that we do. We lock down kind of our back-end processes and only give our customers, our partners, like the password so that they can see how we've been able to scale it and take on an enormous amount of projects each year. But we're an open book. For a while, we weren't. We put a password on our website. We didn't want our competitors to know. And then I said, you know what? If nobody's copied us by now, it means that either they're too big to care or they don't have the resources to do what we're doing. They haven't figured out how to efficiently deliver these types of services at a price point that our customers say, yep, that makes sense for me, and then scale it to what we believe is the largest real estate marketing services platform in the United States today. On the real estate side of our business, we're building a deeper moat by being the first national real estate franchise organization that actually has its own technology platform. So a lot of these other big companies are using something that's white labeled, something that's off the shelf from a third-party vendor. We want to control our data. We have a database of about 530,000 buyers, which is a significant resource that our company has. We want to continue to do that. We want to be able to control things, and frankly, we don't want to have to pay additional vendors because we have a low-cost model. So we're trying to have a sunk investment one time, get a platform built, and then completely control it so that we're not paying third-party vendors. That's allowing us to actually go out and compete on price. That's the business model that we have with United Real Estate. We actually let our real estate agents keep 100% of their commission, and they just pay us a flat fee, $295. So they really like that because real estate agents are motivated by money. Gives them more money to market their clients' properties, and then we give them a shared services platform. And our competitors cannot follow us because our competitors are the Remaxes and Keller Williams of the world, and they're very pregnant with their existing franchise companies. So if you look at maybe like a Reese and Nichols in Kansas City, everybody knows who Reese and Nichols is. They probably have 40 offices here. United Real Estate has one. It's up on Berry Road. Nobody's heard about it, really. We just have a grand opening party this upcoming, or a week from tonight. And then we'll have one in Johnson County. And that's it. We're going to serve the entire MSA from 2 small shops. The other businesses haven't figured out that real estate agents don't go to a brick and mortar place and sit down and do business. They do business right here, in your phone, and in a coffee shop, in their vehicle. So we keep building our moat. We keep adding on things, features, and strategies that make it so that inevitably, when there are the fast followers and they try to make a run and they try to take some of our market share, we've made it so difficult to follow us that we have a defensible position. We can defend our castle. So think about it. Think about your product, because once it's out there, once it's launched, and you have a great idea, somebody is going to try and just tweak it one little bit and basically not go through all the labor that you're going through right now. So think about defending your castle, how to build a deep moat. So Southwest Airlines. What keeps cheaper competitors from stealing market share? Competing on price is tough. It really is. I mean, it's like you think about a lot of products in the marketplace, a lot of them compete on price, and the airlines are probably the most famous for this. They just get into a price war. I wish that the cable companies would. I had an aggravating phone call with Time Warner today because they hiked my bill another $10. I'm like, I cannot wait till Google comes to my neighborhood. Thank you. So competing on price can be a zero-sum game. I mean, you just fight to the bottom. One of the things I always kind of look at as a cool business strategy, particularly if you have a product, one of the ways to really disrupt an industry is to do things substantially cheaper than everybody else and make it easier for them. So maybe if you start at the bottom and you build your business around a price point that makes it so that the cheaper competitors aren't going to be able to offer it. Maybe you control your supply chain. You're going direct to the manufacturer. Whatever it is, figure out how to get it out there at a point where it's still providing the revenue that you want, the cash flow that you want, the returns that if you end up having investors that they're looking for. And the business is performing as you anticipated it, but it's still not unless you're selling a premium good, you're not forced to compete on price because you're already that low price partner of choice in the marketplace. It's not for every product. I mean, some of them, you hardly ever want to be the middle of the road guy. You can be that really, really high, cachet brand. You guys with your, made in the USA, men's stuff. You're not going to compete on price. You're going to compete on awesome stories, and because you're telling a story, and you're talking about the makers, and you're curating goods for guys, who appreciate quality, that's going to be very, very well received, and you're going to be able to price your product your product's at a premium for providing that service. So, your offering. So is it more valuable as people use it? The classic example, probably Hotmail. I love saying Hotmail. Who here has a Hotmail email address? You do? All right. I didn't know if they got rid of them or if they still existed. You know, but
like 15 years.
Exactly.
I never check it.
You never check it, right?
Once a month, I got over 3,000 in my inbox.
Do you know how they grew so fast?
You all should say yes.
Yeah, you all know, right? They had the like signature line is what we call it now. They had a footer, and it said, "Hey, you want a free email account? Click here." And they were one of the first in the market. And then people figured out a better solution, and thank goodness for Gmail. But email is probably one of the things, and social media even too. I mean, if you're on Facebook, it's really hard to get off. I've thought about doing a detox and getting off. I mean, I really have. I'm not a huge Twitter fan. I tend to focus on like one or two platforms. But then if I get off, when I come back on, people are going to be like, hey, are you still alive? Those that I don't have a close personal connection with. Hey, are you still alive? How are your children? How's your wife? Facebook is definitely more valuable. I mean, the more we use it, the more value it has. It's an archive of our lives. It was kind of freaky when they put out those videos. I think it was last year, year before last. It said, hey, your last year. And it automatically created a video, and it showed the highlights of your year. And that's when it really dawned on me, the power of what they've built and how sticky it is and how valuable it is to us as the customers. If they shut off Facebook, when Facebook changes their advertising platform and they start inserting ads and stuff, it causes a big uproar. How much do you pay for Facebook? 0, right? You pay for it with your time and attention, but it's valuable to you for those of you who use it. It helps you make connections with people that you love and care about or your sphere of influence. So can you bake something into your model that makes it so that it's more and more valuable as people use it? Yours, the running stuff, you're going to make that more valuable by saving my preferences. My emergency contact information. Please make that a feature if it's not there. I don't want to enter a name and a phone number every single time. I want to do it once and then be done. That's going to make it more valuable. I'm going to come there. I'm going to pay potentially a premium to have that done for me so I don't have to go through the pain of registering for all of my races on 5 different websites. Time is more important than doing that. So cost of sale. I'm sure you guys talk about that quite a bit in here, right? What is your cost of sale? Make sure that you know that. When I look at cost of sale, I also don't just look at it from a pure monetary perspective. Wes and I were having a conversation earlier about some direct response marketing that they did. And he said, yeah, we recuperated our money, but would we do it again based on all the time that we put into it? Most likely not. It wasn't a high return on marketing investment once you factored in time and money. So you always, I'll probably mention the fact that time is not a renewable resource. I feel blessed that we're all spending this hour together right now. I'm probably getting more out of it than you guys are. I'm excited about it. The time aspect, specifically when you are in launch mode or you're trying to scale your business, is huge. And so think about that when you're thinking about cost of sales. If you go on and you spend all day on Facebook talking about your product, but you're not talking to customers, you're driving up your cost of your sale. It may not be reflected in your P&L. Actually, it will be reflected in your P&L because you'll see your sales probably go down a little bit, right? So can you drive down your cost? Get it the most efficient way that you can. Figure out what platform works for you. For you guys, I think it's going to be email. Huckberry, they do an amazing job of curating an email. It shows up nice on my device. I look at it, and every single time I'm like, oh, that's a cool pair of boots. I haven't bought anything from them yet, but I'm probably pretty close. Specifically with the Made in the USA things, those are things that ring with me. I'm a big supporter of handmade goods, and so can you drive it down? What is the cost of sale? Figure out the most effective way to get that cost down and then just stamp it out. My philosophy at my company and what we always do is we always, about 80% of what we do in each marketing campaign is what we did before, and then 20% will be experimentation. And it's not spaghetti against the wall. It's very strategic. We do our research, but we're always looking for what is new, what are new things that we could do, but we also don't want to throw out the things that we know that are being very, very effective. A lot of you might still be trying to figure out what's the most effective way to reach your customers and then being able to replicate that. But once you figure out the recipe, it's awesome. Once you figure out how you're going to get your customers' cost of sale down, it's a heck of a lot of fun because you can just start replicating it. All right, so let's talk about lifetime value of a customer. Do you guys talk about that a lot here? It's kind of a different mindset. You know, it's thinking about a couple things. So retention is huge. When you get a customer, treat them very, very, very well. Think about what business is Zappos in? Kinda. Not really. Anybody else? They sell shoes. They're in the service business. Who said service? You did. All right. They're in the service business. I mean, anybody else could have gone and said, hey, we're going to sell shoes online and we're going to hustle. And if you haven't heard Tony Hsieh's story about how they did it, it's actually pretty cool. They go into a retail store, buy the shoes, and then put them online and sell them. I mean, they weren't making a lot of money. But what they were known for and what they're remarkable for is actually being a company that will talk to you about how to get to your closest In-N-Out burger if you call their client care team at 3 in the morning. I mean, that's what they're known for. Anybody who doesn't know that, by the way, you can call them up and just have conversations with them. They'll talk to you about anything. They have carte blanche authority to give refunds. They tell you it's going to arrive in 2 days. It arrives the next day. They surprise you. And they know that by doing that, and it costs them money. I mean, having those client care people there that they actually pay to go away. Has anybody heard that story too? If you're a call center person at Zappos, during your training program, they say, hey, we'll give you $3,000 if you walk out the door right now. $3,000 in cash. Because they want you to get off the bus if you're willing to take $3,000 just to leave. If you're there for the money, they want you to get off the bus and they will pay you to get off. Because they want people who genuinely care. Because they know that the lifetime value of their customer is huge. I have not gone into a store, a Dillard's or whatever, and bought a pair of shoes in years. I'll get 5 pairs of shoes shipped to my house from Zappos in all sorts of different styles. And I know I'm not going to keep all 5. I'll try them on, and then I'll send back 4. And I'll do that every 6 months or 9 months or whenever I need new shoes. If I go back in and I look at my transaction history, I've been buying shoes from those guys from a long time. And it's because they've made it very, very easy. They know the importance of retention versus going out and getting new ones. They don't do advertising. They don't run Zappos commercials. They do a little bit of online marketing, retargeting. They're the first people who ever retargeted me, and it kind of freaked me out that I was on kansascity.com and an ad popped up for the shoes that I just looked at on Zappos. I'm like, how did they know that I like this pair of shoes? As a marketer, I should have known about retargeting prior to it coming out, but I didn't. So we talked about different ways that you can disrupt your industry, that you can change it, specifically if you're going into a market where there's already a similar type of offering. So some of you have truly unique, new, kind of purple cow type of offerings that don't exist in the marketplace, and some of you have something that there may be something very similar in the marketplace. This is more about when you're going into a market and there's already a similar type of offering. Can you build it faster? Can you do it smarter? Think about like the Nest thermostats. That was a smarter product for something that was very, blah, a thermostat in your home. But one that was actually smarter. Can you build it cheaper? Can you do something that's going to give you a defensible position in your market that's also going to give you market share? That's a weird graphic. I just looked at it. Those are Lego guys getting made. On Netflix, there's a pretty cool special about Lego, the company, and how they've kind of turned things around. It's only like 20 minutes if you at all like Legos like I do. So can you add more value? I hate to use Zappos as another example, but that's what Zappos has done. They've gone out and they've said, hey, we're going to be more than a shoe company. Yeah, that's our product. That's our monetization vehicle. But we're going to provide more value. How are we going to do that? We're going to provide 24-hour customer service. Our customer service agents are going to be unlike anybody else in any other industry. They're going to be happy. They're going to be vested. They're going to be raving fans of our brand, and they're going to go above and beyond to make sure that those customers are very, very happy. And they're going to have full authority to take care of any problems. They don't have to say, hold on, let me check with the manager. They can make the call. They empower their employees to do so. And then you sign up for a VIP club, which everybody can do. Makes you feel real special. It rains down these little coins when you come in, and then there's like this creepy cat that parachutes in. If you're not a VIP on Zappos, it's actually pretty funny. I think it just does it on their app. But they add a little bit more value. So as a VIP, which didn't cost anything, I get everything next day shipped. I know that costs them money. We were talking about UPS shipping before. They've got leverage because they're owned by Amazon, and I think Amazon will end up buying UPS at some point, by the way. I don't know if that'll happen, but Amazon has leverage and pull. They ship a lot of stuff, and so they're able to get the product to you. They're able to do so. Actually, they don't compete on price, so Zappos is not a low-cost provider. They provide things at retail price. Their sales are not stellar. You can go get cheaper shoes at Designer Shoe Warehouse, DSW, or you could save the time and money and gas and the time basically to go to a shoe store and just have those shoes show up the next day. That's more value to me. A lot of people are willing to pay for value. Boom, boom, boom. So the last thing I want to say is, when can you ship? And I know that's why you guys are all here. And that's why I was excited about meeting with you all, because there's a little part of me that's jealous that I'm not sitting right there. That I'm not working on, I've kind of built a couple of businesses, and we're in that mature phase in both of those businesses. I'm ready to build that next thing. So when can you ship your product? I know that's why you've become a partner with BetaBlox. Shipping often is key. Getting that minimal viable product out there is key. Even when you know that it might not be exactly the way that you want it, you can just get caught up in features and all of these things and find yourself wrapped around an axle and not actually deliver something to the customer. Because kind of going back to what we said here earlier, a product is what a customer thinks it is. Well, if you can't get that product into that customer's hands, what good have you done to yourself, your business, and your customer? So I don't know how long most folks go, but this was a pretty short conversation. I really don't like dialogue, so I really don't like monologues. I like dialogues. So if you have any questions about anything around business strategy and marketing, those are my two areas of expertise. Here's how you can connect with me. It's a horrible website, but at least it has further connection information for you. I put them to sleep, Cecil. All right, so what's your business?
Working with founder of Crypto Empire, we offer digital currency mining contracts for stuff like Bitcoin and Litecoin.
Okay. You guys, any tie-ins with your businesses?
Not yet. We'll see. He has
Yeah.
one of my miners, so he's hosting for me.
Okay. Okay. And I think you folks in the back, what's your business? I've heard about everybody else's.
Not a planet, it's a rock and roll band.
What's it called?
Not a planet.
Not a Planet.
Yeah.
Rock and roll band. Love it. So you're, where do you guys play often? Like, are we?
We just did a music showcase at Knuckleheads.
Yeah.
We opened for the Presidents of the United States of America.
They're going to be the first band to play on the.
We're doing the Kaufman Performing Arts Center for TEDx.
Oh, cool. Very cool. Very cool. I'm actually giving a TEDx talk for youth in like 3 weeks. And so, what's that?
Same one.
No, Green Valley High School. TEDx Youth, Green Valley High School. So outside of Kansas City a little bit, the target audience are 14 to 18-year-olds. So I had a hard time figuring out how to put myself back in my teenage years and what my mindset was, and then figure out how to convey something of value to them when you know that really you're invincible and the whole world is so far away from you, you know? Yeah.
So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Your comment on product is what the customer thinks it is,
Mm-hmm.
and your case study is the McDonald's hiring a milkshake. What did McDonald's do to actually make customers think something about a milkshake, or did they just figure out what? Do you see where I'm going with it?
Yeah. So the way it worked, it was kind of, I mean, it's a classic Harvard business case study. So to summarize it, the way it worked was, you know, they wanted to sell more milkshakes. I don't even know if it was McDonald's, but I threw that up there. They interviewed customers, and they said, hey, what can we do to improve our milkshake? And they said, hey, you know, they got all sorts of feedback all over the board. You can make it thinner, you can add more sugar, you can add more flavors. So they went out and they did exactly what the customers told them that they wanted. And then they implemented it, and their sales were still stagnant. So they said, let's look at it from another point of view. Let's figure out why the customers are buying the milkshake in the first place. Let's move further up in the process. Okay, we know they're buying milkshakes. Why are they buying milkshakes? And then they figured out, okay, they're buying milkshakes to accomplish a certain job. And that job is to satisfy them, to pass time, and to provide some nourishment for them. And that's why they liked them extra thick. Gave them something to do while they were, you know, commuting to work. So those customers, you know, in this case, you know, the customer probably still thinks it's a milkshake. Like the customer, in a deep way, knows that they're engaging with a milkshake. They're buying a milkshake to accomplish a certain job for them, but it probably just never registers with them. You know, it's a little bit different than. It's got a deep psychology level to it that I had my hard time getting my head around.
So did the company change their marketing structure based on that in that case?
No, they changed their product, and they did change their marketing structure in the fact that they offered diverse lines. So they in the morning, they made really thick milkshakes for the commuters. But then when it came time for the evening and they had kids who came in, they made thinner milkshakes so that the parents wouldn't be sitting there pulling their hair out while it takes the kid an hour to finish a milkshake. So they varied their product line. And then they really went back with, they said, okay, let's do a thick milkshake. Let's keep it simple. Like, you know, take some of the feedback that the customers gave us. Hey, maybe we add strawberry as well as having chocolate and vanilla. But let's just look at the consistency. Let's look at the size of the cups that we're delivering them in, and make sure that it's something that's going to, you know, take the average commuter 20 or 30 minutes to suck down on their way to the office. So it's a cool case study. I actually went to go print out the whole thing. It was 22 pages. So I just printed out the abstract.
So how have you applied that to the real estate?
The real estate business, so we've got two different business models. We've got the rural business model where our customers are what we call idyllic lifestyle seekers. They're people who are coming from major metropolitan areas. They typically have discretionary time and or money. They're first adopters of like technology, and they just want to get away from the city, whether it's a permanent basis and they have the ability to telecommute, or they're retiring, or they want a place to go spend, you know, the weekend with their family. So they being idyllic lifestyle seekers, we spent some money to figure out who they were, right? Then what we did was we looked at, from an analytical perspective, we looked at what were they searching for when they came to our website. And there were some really profound things. We found out that they were looking not only geographically for property, but they were looking for property at like the features type. So what we did was, you know, they might look for like a log home, or they might search for, hey, I want a lake type of property, or I might want a beach property. So we said, what would happen if we not only talked to them about the where, but about the what? And we created 24 different specialty property groups around ranches, farms, luxury properties, desert properties, ski properties. And if I go on to UnitedCountry.com's Google Analytics live report right now, you know, one of the big things that's trending right now is people are searching for log homes. I have no idea why. They're searching for log homes in the summer. So so we have a log home specialty property group. So that's how we approached that customer and our marketing strategy there. On the United real estate business, our customer is actually the agent. And it sounds kind of weird, but we built our brokerage around trying to solve a lot of the problems that exist between a real estate broker and a real estate agent. And a lot of it comes down to marketing, technology, and how much money the broker takes from the commission at a closed sale from an agent. Because real estate agents cultivate a lot of their own business through their sphere of influence, through their network, through social media. So if I'm a new real estate agent, I'm young, I'm excited about the business, and I get out of real estate school and I go join ABC Real Estate Company, and they say, hey, we're going to take 50% of your commission until you perform at X level, all of a sudden I feel like I'm kind of getting robbed. So we said, let's just eliminate that. Who cares how much you sell? If you sell one piece of real estate a year or sell thousands of pieces of real estate a year, we're going to give you 100% of your commission. Just cut us a check, flat transaction fee. Because we had built the infrastructure for United Country, a 90-year-old legacy business, the incremental cost to bring it over to a startup business 3 years ago was a lot of just late nights and a little bit of money, and a lot of us performing multiple roles. And I actually have 2 roles, and a lot of us have 2 roles within our sister companies. So the cost to put extra seats on the bus was actually pretty minimal. So we were able to do that really, really quickly. We were able to make the economics very, very nicely, and then we were able to package a national brand on it and also a lead generation engine because we knew how to generate leads in the country. We haven't completely articulated how to do it in the major metropolitan areas. It's more competitive. But what we've done is we've then kind of solved all of the pain points for a real estate agent. And we said, hey, here you go. And they were like, wow, this is awesome. And we went out and we opened 5 of our own stores. We opened Dallas, Chicago, Philly, Houston, and DC when the real estate market was just in turmoil. We're known for making quiet investments and doing things up on Berry Road where nobody knows about us, this sleepy little real estate company, doing things very, very quietly. And so we said, hey, let's start an urban brokerage. And let's see what happens. And let's make Dallas our flagship store. And let's build a 2,000 square foot office. And let's see if we can recruit 1,000 agents, 1 per every 2 square feet, whereas the industry average is like 1 per 100 square feet or something like that. Let's just, because you still have to have a physical location, a place to hang a license. Hopefully that goes away at some point. But real estate law is that you have to have a broker, a person, you have to have a license, you have to have some sort of location. It could be a closet. But we wanted to have a nice office, a cafe style type of thing. And the agents came to us. So Dallas-Fort Worth is a huge metroplex. It's 2 cities, right? Our office is in North Dallas by the Galleria. Initially, we started recruiting agents around North Dallas, but then we started seeing South Fort Worth pop up and East Fort Worth. I mean, 60, 70 miles away. They're saying, I'm in. You guys are going to pay me. All my transactions are done electronically. You're going to pay me quicker than another real estate broker does. And you're going to give me all my money except for $295. Yeah, that's an attractive value proposition. So now what I'm working on is the consumer side of it. So what I'm doing is trying to make us kind of the Zappos of the real estate industry with our new website. We're gonna have a lot of the philosophies adapted. We're gonna have people available 24 hours a day to talk to them about how to get In-N-Out Burger if they so desire. And we're going to provide service in an industry that desperately, desperately needs it. We're going to be responsive. My tagline is true responsive experiences. We want to establish trust. We want to be responsive because a lot of real estate professionals don't respond when somebody reaches out to them, which is unusual. Those are customers. And we want to deliver experiences. We don't want to be a transactional type of business. Sorry, long answer, man. Yes. So in the United Country side, it's weird because we have 2 companies. So I'm going to talk about both of them when you ask these questions. United Country, 90-year-old legacy business. When we were part of the company, when we were part of the group that acquired the company 7 years ago, we got a lot of data with that acquisition database. There were a lot of points out there. We just had to really. They were part of the company. We had to kind of cull through them and make some assumptions and then validate it with some research. So that was a relatively easy exercise. And we had existing franchise offices who were telling us, hey, here's what we need. Here are the things you guys can do to make our lives better, to make it so that we can make the rural, landscape of real estate business less fragmented and easy for people to dive into. United Real Estate, it's a lot harder for us. So it's actually very, very challenging because we are going up against huge publicly traded companies. We're making a lot of noise now. We decided to stop being very quiet about what we're doing. We had a big news release in Inman.com, which is one of the leading authorities in the real estate business. They reached out to us because we just picked up 215 offices in Australia with a large residential company there. We struck up a relationship. And our goal, our strategy is going to be to go out and get as many signs in the yard as possible. So in order to get that, we have to recruit as many agents as possible, critical mass. So what we've done is we've actually figured out how to recruit 2.1 agents per office per week. And then we know what the attrition is. We've got this ridiculous spreadsheet that shows all of our metrics, how many calls, how many emails it takes, what the messages are. We've done a lot of A/B testing. We did that in our 5 company stores so that when we started franchising, we could pass that knowledge on. So then when our franchises join us and they want to go off and they want to start doing different things, we say, no, stick to the program. And we actually make them accountable once a week. We have a call with them. And we say, okay, have you done this? Have you called X amount of agents? No? Pick up the phone and call X amount of agents. You're going to recruit 2.1 this week. And we hold them accountable. And we make it so that they don't have to focus on the other aspects of their business. It's like we've actually, I argue, made the first real estate franchise in the United States through United Real Estate because we dictate furniture selections, signage. We help them with their site selection as well. We want every one of those stores to look the same. There's an iconic bar. We don't want any offices in it except for the broker and the transaction manager. We want it to be a very, very simple business in a box. And what we've had really cool feedback with is we have institutional investors buying these, not your broker operators, which are typical suitors to buy a real estate business. We're getting people who say, okay, I understand the business opportunity. I understand that I'm going to be cash flow positive within 18 to 24 months, and then it starts throwing off really, really good money as long as I hire a broker that's going to recruit 2.1 agents per week. And so the mass, getting those agents out there and then getting the signs in the yard, and then also hopefully our new web strategy will be the keys to our success.
Yeah, can you expand a little bit on that? It's great. We do a lot of that testing to then extrapolate nationally.
Yeah.
And so can you expand on how you learned that 2.1 was it, and how you learned that getting the signs in the yards? Because for every time that you found getting signs in the yards is gold, you've also probably found some dirt.
Oh man, we found a lot of dirt. I mean, as I look, I kept a dossier of everything we did, from the very first handwritten. I mean, this is how scrappy we are. CEO and I sat down with a graph piece of paper and drew out what we thought our first store would look like with a pencil. And so I've kept that, and I've kept it memoir. So in case we ever decide to write a book, we'd have it. And when I look back in that memoir, we had to throw a lot of spaghetti at the wall initially. We didn't blow. We invested a lot of money to find out what worked, what didn't. We went out, for example, with some really aggressive messages in the Dallas marketplace before we had authority or trust, or even anybody who knew who we were. I wish I had the creative. Cecil's wife created it for me, but it was a couple of empty jars. And one of them said empty promises, and it was knocked over and it was empty. And then there was a jar that was full that said United Real Estate and it had all of our value proposition pieces in it. And then another one said, we didn't just tip the scale, we broke it. And there was traditional real estate brokerage over here, and it was empty, and then ours, and we broke the floor. Well, it was very cocky image. It was very, very cocky of us when we didn't have authority, we didn't have trust. So we learned that that was wrong. And we learned that we had to tone down our message when we went into a market. So once we got the messaging down, we figured out, we spent a lot of money online, frankly. Then we figured out, hey, we do a postcard, then we do 2 emails, and then we follow up with a phone call, and we do that religiously. We're going to recruit these agents. And it was a lot of testing. And we tracked it all. It's really ugly, but we tracked it all in like a multi-tab spreadsheet. It's kind of ghetto how we did it, but it accomplished the goal. And there was probably 10 different people contributing to it, so that each week we could look and we said, okay, we made X amount of calls out. We had X amount of conversations that converted to this many appointments. And then this many appointments should converted to this many agents saying, yeah, I'm going to transfer my license to you. And so, and it's just a basic principle in the real estate business for us. I mean, the psychology is, you always want to do business if you're selling your piece of property with somebody who's active in the market. It's much like a restaurant. You never want to go into a restaurant where there's nobody there at like 5 o'clock on a Saturday. Because you think, hey, something's wrong with the food. Why isn't anybody at this restaurant? Well, you see a real estate sign from somebody that you don't know, and you're like, who's that? I want to go with this brand or this person who I see their signs everywhere. It's a comfort factor. And more signs in your yard, it's a free form of advertising for us, frankly. So people drive by, they might come in and purchase the piece of property, like the agent that they purchased it from, or maybe they like the listing agent, and when it comes time to sell in 5 years, they'll say, hey, United Real Estate. Reach out to them. So it's one of the best ways for us to market in the real estate space. It's free. Each sign costs like $50. Yeah.
So I totally relate to the signs and the other thing. Like when I see real estate,
Mhm.
I'm not sure. I'm like, that's really weird. So
Yeah, especially if it's like real sketchy sign, coroplast. You're like,
I think it's awesome that you touched on that for more. And one thing, in terms of talking about like the voice that your brand or your messaging kind of has as you're going out and doing that A/B testing. You said, you found out that maybe you guys were a little too aggressive in one market.
Yeah.
You didn't have authority. How do you? I mean, aside from just trying something totally different, is there any like damage from that, or like how do you recover from okay, you came out, the first people who saw us kind of got a bad impression, and now how do you
Yeah.
kind of reinvent that?
Yeah, there's damage, but it's the market's so big for us. There's like 1.2 million real estate agents in the United States, and they're all candidates for joining our company at some point as we expand nationally. So yeah, there was damage, but they also, real estate agents, and our business could be a lot different than yours. I mean, real estate agents they're like doctors. They're on 24 hours a day. They're expected to be accessible. They get hit with a lot of marketing messages. They are the ones who are productive are very, very busy, so they actually have a short attention span. So they might remember that we had some aggressive messaging out there a year ago, but then we might reapproach them a year later, and they're like, oh yeah, United Real Estate, I've heard great things about you, because we've gone out and we've fixed those problems, and we've created some raving fans, and some of their colleagues, they might meet each other at like an industry event, say, hey, where are you now? Because they jump around a lot. Oh yeah, I'm joining this company named United. They give me all my commission. How's it, ABC Realty? Oh, they still take 60%. Well, do you want to, make a little bit more money by doing the same amount of work, or do you really like, having an office that you never go to? It's a pretty easy conversation. So, a combination of, and we don't really worry about the damage that's been done, because we didn't have enough money. It's not like we took out a Super Bowl commercial, right?
The data you got was working damage.
Oh, totally. That's why I initially said blue, and then I stopped the word blue, and I said invested.
Yeah.
Because we invested money to find out what didn't work, so that we knew moving forward what to do, what not to do, and most importantly,
You might have wanted the copy messages.
yeah, I've still got them. We're gonna unleash them. And once I figured out, I think at 500 agents and an MSA, we then have, a good market share, and then we can go out with some aggressive messages. But yeah, I mean, it's invaluable data, because we know, hey, we don't ever need to try that again. That was a donkey drill, or hey, this really, really worked really, really well. And then, our business strategy initially was going to be that we were going to go out and raise money and probably own the top 25 MSAs. And we said, no, we're going to change our strategy. We're just going to franchise this out. We're good having 5 test kitchens. We may open another one. But what we really wanted to do then was say, okay, we feel confident in this business, and we're a hands-on management team. I mean, very, very accessible. We put our hearts and our lives into this company. So when we look at somebody and we say, hey, it's going to cost $50,000 for your initial franchise fee, and you're going to pay us X amount per transaction for 10 years, we want to make sure that we're selling them something that we know that works. So we did all that struggling, and that's probably where our startup phase was longer than probably most companies, although in the real estate space we've been kind of kicking ass. We're the fastest growing from an agent count perspective than a lot of other companies out there. Actually, every other company out there that's gone national. So we're really proud of that, but we still have a lot of work ahead of us. A lot. Which is the fun part, right? Growth.
What's your favorite Godin book?
I really, really like Lynchpin. Lynchpin is a book that I listen to on audio, so I have a commute. I listened to it once, and then I went right back to the beginning, and I listened to it again, and then I bought it because I like tangible books. I mean, mine are all just jacked up and marked up and everything. So I like it so much that I bought it, I think, for all my team members. I've got 11 team members. I think I bought it for almost all of them last year for their birthdays. I give books for birthdays.
What's the most valuable thing that you pulled from that book?
There were a lot of valuable things. Probably the biggest one was the resistance. So the lizard brain working against us. This is going to get very deep if you haven't heard about it. I'm not going to go deep. But there's the lizard brain who wants us to put off the things that are very, very hard to do, the struggle, right? And do the things that are easy that make us think like, feel like we're productive. Whether that's checking email or updating Facebook or tweaking your stuff. But putting yourself out there and just saying, okay, I'm going to do the hard work that it takes to move the needle, and I'm going to kill the lizard brain that wants to do the easy stuff. And I'm going to do the hard stuff. That's probably the reason. That's probably the thing that resonated most with me in that book. And he's got, his books are great. He's great. Another guy who's great is James Altucher. Anybody heard of him? He's got a book called Choose Yourself. He's giving it away free, PDFs. You can search for it. You guys have all chosen yourselves. So the economy has shifted, the business has shifted, the world has shifted. The days of corporate America taking care of employees are just gone, right? So the Choose Yourself, he's got a podcast too that's awesome. He brings on all sorts of interesting characters. But the premise of the book is really about going out and creating your own world, being CEO of your own life, personally and professionally, not relying on anybody else, having your own platform, whatever that is, and choosing yourself, because nobody else is going to choose you. You have to choose yourself. Everybody here is an artist in your own special way, and you've chosen yourself by the fact that you're here, so it's highly commendable. It's awesome, actually. Awesome. Any others? What are you pointing at?
Our product right there.
Your what?
Here's our product. I didn't bring one.
You got your product here?
Yeah. Check it out. It's a basketball bat.
I like products. I like tangible stuff.
Yeah. It fits the basketball, man.
It fits a basketball.
Yeah. We got one for volleyball and soccer too as well.
So wow, man.
I should
Officially licensed. So what do you have all the teams, all
No,
college?
No, we're licensed through the COC, which gives us access to about 90% of the major colleges, still LRG.
90 or 9?
90.
90. That's good.
Duke, KU, all the big house powerhouses is definitely a part of the COC. LRG covers like K-State,
Yeah.
schools like that.
So how are sales going?
We haven't made many sales yet. We just got licensed and everything done.
That's what I was thinking, man. I was thinking this was probably either an arduous process or it cost money, one of the two.
Both.
Yeah.
It was.
When I saw the seal on here, everybody's got this little seal. I was like, okay, that costs money to get it through.
We just got our barcodes done now, so we're officially ready to dive into the stores.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
That's what I was going to ask you. What do you think?
So who's your customer? Is it somebody who's got a super awesome basketball? I mean, don't you usually just, or is it, so if you're going to the gym, and you've got your bag, you've got your gear that you're going to change into. I'm trying to think when that comes into play.
For a kid, yeah, imagine, most kids you see walking down the street carrying their balls like that, dribbling. No, most people don't want to dribble a nice basketball outside.
Correct.
Concrete.
Leather basketball on the concrete's bad, right?
That's one.
Okay.
For kids not having to worry about the dangers and, ball hitting the curb or something like that.
Yeah.
That's another. For an athlete who's fashionable,
Yep.
it's another. For a KU fan, It's another.
That's what I was thinking. For the fans who already have everything, because you've already got the coasters and the slippers and the fill in the blank, there's another thing for them.
Autograph it. Instead of the ball, you autograph the bag.
Ooh, I like that.
You don't, because you would therefore increase the value of the bag rather than decreasing the value of the ball.
That'd be
Because
pretty
they say,
cool.
collectors say autographing the actual ball is no good, but you autograph a bag, put a ball in there, maybe the game ball, whatever, then everything holds its value and the value of the bag increases.
So then another product extension that you could have for that, because I got a Mickey Mouse baseball sign when I was 5. My brother was 12. I was smart. I put mine in a little vacuum. He wasn't. His is, you can't read it now. Mine is awesome. It's in a safe, and it says to Kevin, Mickey Mantle. It wasn't one of the many forgeries that he has. So you could have, you know, you could potentially have like a plexiglass case if you went that route. And have, you could go high end, right? So you go to people who are those collectors of high end sports good. You know, think about O.J. Simpson going back and stealing all the autographed memorabilia. That's actually a huge market. Memorabilia is a huge market. So that would be a cool play. The parents are going to be your customers because the kid's not going to buy it. The kid might ask for it for his birthday or Christmas.
Definitely.
But the parents who, I specifically, you know, I'm not being stereotypical, but you know, the soccer moms who have multiple kids and they're just running around everywhere. You know, if you've ever seen the back of their SUV or their van, it's freaky. I mean, they might have lacrosse sticks, they might have just all sorts of things, right? If they have more than one child, they're probably going to have more than one sport, and they're running everywhere, and that's what, I mean, they call them soccer moms for a reason. They're hustling, they're working hard, and they're not getting paid. They would probably be a good customer for that, and typically, if you think about a soccer mom, they're probably going to have discretionary money too.
You know? But it's also hands-free. You know, you talking, you know, everybody wants to talk on their cell phone or text or Facebook.
Yeah.
While they're going to the gym, man, carry that on their shoulder.
And so you're going to have, I would, to get it, man, who, I'm trying to think here. Getting it into people who play basketball's hands a lot at like your local Y or your gym or something like that, and just having it sitting there and we're in the locker room, you know, if I saw that in a locker room when I was working out on lunch today, you know, I probably would have said, what is that? You know, to whoever had it. I'd be like, that's pretty different. I've never seen anything like that before. So I think the more that you can get a product into a marketplace, I don't know what your price point is, if you can give away 100 of them to people who play basketball in Kansas City and have them in the market with whatever sports team that they want, and then, you know, see if that you get some word of mouth marketing, that may or may not be a good strategy for you. Aligning yourself with complementary products. So if there's a place online that just sells like high-end balls, I don't know if that exists. I'm not familiar with the market. Or do people go to Amazon and buy basketballs now?
You know, they still go to Dick's.
Do they?
Go to Dick's, Sally's, Rallies.
Yeah. So the retail brick and mortar aspect of it. You might try to tie in, you know, with retailers online, because Dick's and those guys are going to require you to have some sort of inventory, and I don't know what their thresholds are. I've never dealt with a big company like that. I just know that in the CPG space, you do have to go out and you basically buy shelf space to get your products up there. You know. That's you know, it's an interesting product because it's a nice to have. It's like a, hey, this is cool. You're gonna have to educate your consumers around a couple of different things, and you've got some great points there. So increasing the value of an autographed piece of, you know, a ball, that increases the value if you have like a jacket.
The fact that they're not dribbling or kicking the ball in the house. Yeah. I think the parents are gonna like that.
There you go.
They can hang it up.
Heck yeah, that's actually a great one. Because man, they're loud. If you have a basement, it shakes the whole house.
Well, what a parent told me is, she's like, I said, I'll take 3 of them right now because you don't believe every time I go to my garage, try to get in my car, I pull in, I got a basketball just rolling all through there.
You can hang it on the wall. So there's
up.
another one. And I think showing pictures of how it's used, right?
Yeah.
So you can even do pretty, you know, economical videos. Yeah. So yeah, so now we're getting into some really good ideas on how it makes the parents' pain go away.
I'm thinking Cecil and Oldham team up on some YouTube videos here.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. You could essentially do that and show the videos of, especially.
We can film one right here. We're all lined up.
Everybody stand up. Come on up here. Come on up here. He's a really good editor. But no, I think we're getting somewhere though. So you go for the parents, specifically the ones who are like, they have a super organized garage. I've got a neighbor who's got his garage like that. Everything's dialed in and hung up and organized. He's got kids, and when those kids start bringing in stuff like that, he's going to be like control mode. Hey, how do I organize this stuff? That's a good application for that. And then your sports fanatics. I mean, the ones who are really into a team.
We've got some celebrities in the back.
Yeah, I heard.
The #1 rock band in Kansas City is joining us for an intro lecture tonight. Not a planet.
Yeah. I met your colleagues.
They didn't bring everybody.
Bandmates. What do you guys call each other in a band? It's not colleagues. Bandmates. What? Stupid heads. Jackwad.
No, they're signing ball socks all night tonight.
Ball socks.
Increase the value, baby.
Yeah, we'll increase the value signed by the band.
Awesome.
I'm looking around. There is no basketball players in here.
I play a little.
Well, you know what though? I mean, yeah, I think about. I've got a 2-year-old son, and he took my basketball. That was pretty nice. I don't play basketball a lot, but it was a nice leather basketball, and he left it out in the backyard. And it's not a nice basketball anymore, right? If it had a bag, would it have maybe been a nice basketball still if I wanted to go use it? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
There's practicality.
Yeah.
Ben, did you have a question?
Yeah, what would you suggest, building trust-wise if you have to go after a narrow market? Because we're still kind of testing out, figuring out who's going to want mining contracts from us. Typically, it's people that want to hold Bitcoins for a really long time.
Okay.
So going after and testing on people that don't know anything about it is kind of
You're in a, man, I want to see what happens with both your guys' businesses and the cryptocurrency. I've been trying to get ramped up in it because I'm a highly curious person just by nature. And it's the whole adapting a new monetary system that the government is not watching is very attractive to me. But I totally dig it for some reason. I don't know why. I just think it's awesome. Maybe it's because I get to keep 40 cents out of every dollar instead of giving it to them. So I don't know, man. I mean, I think that you're there's a lot of chatter online, right? I mean, it was recently on the front page of multiple magazines. I think it was on Wired recently. So there's a lot of awareness around cryptocurrency right now. My guess is that there's probably a lot of forums where people are talking about it.
My biggest concern is testing. If you're dealing with just the cryptocurrency community that really knows what's going on, testing with them could backfire, I feel like, because there's such a tight niche. You cross the wrong person,
they're like, hey, you're done.
On every forum, like, this company's an idiot.
Yeah, that's glass half empty, though. The opposite can happen.
That's true.
Yeah. What if you impress that Russian roulette guy?
It's just a risk, and you got to go for it.
Gotta go.
What exactly is your business model again?
We're offering mining contracts for individuals to obtain Bitcoin over a period of time. So you can buy processing power from us, and that means we issue the Bitcoins that you receive from that processing power.
Okay.
So
are you kind of like an exchange then?
No, we'd like to go there eventually, but for now, we're just renting processing power to people who want to obtain Bitcoins.
We can't say, to people that don't know what we're doing, we can't say mining contracts.
Yeah.
They build the machines, run the machines, power the machines, know when and where to mine, all that stuff.
Right.
They literally then, once the Bitcoin has been mined, give it to the customer.
Okay. Yeah, you can't say that because I didn't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm like, do we have a drill? And I mean, it's virtual, so yeah.
No, I'm still working on
this. He's going to help you with that though, because what he said makes sense.
Yeah,
what you said, no, it's awesome. I know what these guys' business is. Okay, men's goods that are curated and made in the USA. Yes.
What I was going to say for you, like I've read a number of articles on like Bitcoins, and I'm not a dumb person, but like I still can't wrap my head totally around the entire concept of like, I understand there's like some way that like they're solving like problems or whatever. I can't even explain it. And So like for you, there's an interesting market of like the mass amounts of people who are kind of curious. Like I'm super curious, and like I could potentially be a customer that's a normal person and be like, yeah, mine some bitcoins for me, and like teach me about what that process is. Like
Build authority.
I guess we could have added a teaching component to it.
Oh, yeah.
Basically saying,
Yeah,
here's
that-
what you can do with your Bitcoin.
Simplify the
Here's how you
process
can
for the
convert it.
average person. Because I'll be honest, I went on and I was like, hey, I want to buy I wanted to buy Bitcoin. I was like, whatever, I'll invest and see what happens. I might lose all my money, it might blow up, or I might make $1 million. Who knows?
This is for the people that want to.
Yeah, the layperson, right?
So it's people who don't
And
know.
educate them, because I went online and there's a variety of places, and first of all, they didn't get my trust.
Oh yeah, there's a lot
They
of
did
scams.
not get my trust. And so I was like, okay, this is shady. I'm not going to give them whatever Bitcoin was at that point. No, I'm done. And I left, and I didn't engage. If I found somebody who wasn't trying to sell me up front a service or a solution, but that was a trusted resource online, i.e. a blog, and their main message was little layperson things that help me get ramped up around what Bitcoin is, how it works, because I still don't know how it works either. And then I get that comfort level. And oh yeah, by the way, I've got this button up here that says store, right? And maybe I've got a tile or something that says, hey, check out our products, check out our services. Once I've got that level of trust, and you're showing up in my inbox through my RSS feed, when it comes time and I say, okay, I think I've got it, I think I understand what this is, I like this company, they've provided me a lot of information, so you've established trust, then maybe you're going to get my cash.
Basically, just don't push the sale necessarily.
I don't think, man, I mean, no, not on something that's obscure, because it's a tough selling process. It's something, it's concept that people, a lot of intelligent people, are having a hard time getting their head around, despite all of the.
Authority on that right now? Like, could that be your whole market?
Could you be the guy?
Writing
Yes, you're the guru. There's
Yeah.
quite a bit of authority out there. I mean, I can direct people to it. I know a lot about it.
Can you
but
curate?
I
Can you
can't just
curate
simplify
the?
it to anything? I'm not that skilled with it yet. But just simplify it down. I can just tell you that the process of mining is just solving the equation. Once you do that, you get the reward of new coins.
Yeah. Maybe you could curate what's out there. If there is a lot of chatter, you could go in, you could curate it, and then become a trusted authority. You say, hey, here's the best of the cryptocurrency online world. That could be a low touch way where you're not creating your own content. And then you could also forge some relationships with some of those folks who are, and that might be another way to do it. And I think that it'd be easy to build it.
I wanted to comment on this subject that, as a band, we're marketing something generally that's not tangible.
It's
Like,
an experience.
you buy a CD,
Yeah, it's
but
experience, man.
And it's, and it's emotion, and it's, catharsis, and it's a lot of different things.
Life.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you're marketing something that's really intangible, then you have to market to, like, in pure volume sometimes. So like press releases for us were like huge things. Like if we could get, 40 people to talk about something, then the legitimacy of it immediately increased. And so it's like maybe we're a nobody band, but I lied my ass off to book our first tour, and so we never played a show in Kansas City before we played our first tour. And now we've been on like 10 national tours, and we're signed with management and Blue Traveler, and like doing all these different things. But a lot of it was just about, getting the pure volume of advertising through tastemakers, whether they be good bloggers or bloggers that have 20 friends. Exactly. You find people that are in a related field, and they talk about things. Maybe they get 40 people liking their posts about, tech stuff, because people trust them about it. Get them to talk about your business.
Yeah.
And just the pure volume of it increases the legitimacy. And like you were saying, like being the guy who, is really obviously legitimate, that's something that's going to be important because, I'm younger. I don't really understand Bitcoin. I got my first rundown on it like 3 weeks ago about what it was.
Yeah.
And it's,
arbitrage of the monetary system. That's awesome. Just if we can understand it and take away the risk for the average person and make it easy for them to go buy it. Like, I didn't even know you could buy parts of Bitcoin. So I was going to go out and buy a Bitcoin. Yeah, I was going to go buy a Bitcoin at whatever, $1,300. I'm glad that went down to $600. Maybe I'll now go buy one. But I still don't trust the websites that I can go buy them from, because who are they?
Well, I was thinking,
Thanks for letting me know. Can you recommend some place I can buy it from? Huh?
No,
Okay.
you can buy a mining contract.
you can buy
and
mining
then go
contract.
mine them in the cave, underground, safe, with the best electricity in the world.
Awesome, man. With somebody whose hand I can shake.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
mining is so scary, you could actually give tours to people like the brewery does here. Why not get people to say, hey, look, this is what it looks like?
Yeah.
I mean, it takes away the scary, like, I'm sending
So what is that,
money to
webinar?
buy.
Is that what that is?
Well,
That
we're gonna have a 24/7 live feed of the machine.
okay?
So it's like, you wanna see your machine working, just log on to whatever.
That's cool.
Here's the box.
So then
That could be very
it's not doing anything.
I mean, it should be a pretty boring theme, unless I guess we're all.
This video, by the way, this is going to be low touch for you. You're just going to set it and forget it.
puppy in there so they know
Something's going on. I'm more concerned, I guess, about a model walking in there and starting changing. I mean,
No, that's what we want.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a big deal. Not a big deal.
That's how you go viral. Model accidentally change in your live feed of your body.
But I do think you could do some education. So because it is a virtual thing that people have a hard time getting their head around, the more that you can show them, and there's a couple ways that you could do it. I mean, you could do explainer videos, with graphics and things like that to show the process. And here's where we fit into the process, and here are the things that you want to avoid and the things that you want to embrace when you're looking at exploring, investing in Bitcoin. That would make people feel a heck of a lot more comfortable, and then that would feed your business. But it's going to take time. Yeah, it's going to take a lot of work. It's not like you're going to go out and buy banner ads or traffic. You're just not going to do it. It's going to take work.
Any last questions? All right,
Awesome.
thank you very much.
Man, my pleasure. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody's time, and keep up the awesome work. I look forward to seeing where you guys go with your companies.